nigh.
Imagine being handed, like a VIP backstage pass, to the control room of the universe.
Oh, wow. That's a wild thought.
Right. And you walk through the door, and you're probably expecting, harps, fluffy clouds, unending peace. But instead, you walk right into a war room.
Yeah, a complete shock to the system.
Exactly.
Right.
Thunder's crashing, the floor beneath your feet looks like shattered glass, and the security detail guarding the throne is literally covered in unblinking eyes.
It's intense. Very intense.
It really is. So today, for you listening, we are doing a deep dive into a text known as the Prelude to the Apocalypse, God's Celestial Throne Room. And we're focusing specifically on Revelation chapter 4.
Which is such a pivotal chapter.
It is, but whenever you try to read ancient apocalyptic literature, it usually feels less like reading a narrative and more like, running face first into a dense wall of bizarre psychedelic imagery.
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to feel overwhelmed. People usually just assume it's kind of the ancient equivalent of a fever dream.
Yeah, exactly.
But it can be incredibly disorienting because the imagery is so visually aggressive. People often miss the highly structured logic that's operating just beneath the surface.
Right, there's an actual system to it.
Exactly. Every single detail you encounter in these texts, every storm cloud, every gemstone, every strange creature, it's all engineered for a specific reason.
None of it is random.
Right. It is communicating profound truths, but it's doing so in this highly symbolic ancient language.
And that is our mission for you on today's deep dive. We want to act as your guides, basically translating this intense ancient vision into clear, structured insights, totally bypassing all that dense theological jargon.
Which is definitely needed here.
Yeah. Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand the gravity of this war room, we first have to understand, where we actually are in the timeline of the text.
Context is everything with apocalyptic literature, like everything.
So where do we start?
Well, if you look at the chapters immediately preceding this, so chapters 2 and 3, the text is very focused on what was the present-day reality for the original audience.
Right. The text actually refers to this era as the things which are. It deals with regular people living in real cities, dealing with, everyday struggles, corruption, faith. It's a very grounded, earthly perspective.
So it's very much in the here and now for them.
Exactly. But the moment you cross the threshold into chapter 4, there is a massive chronological shift.
A hard pivot, really, from the messy human present to the cosmic future.
Yeah, that marks the beginning of the things that will happen after. We are no longer looking at the present era of grace and second chances.
We're looking at a countdown.
A literal countdown. It's the prelude to the final judgment that systematically unfolds from chapter 6 all the way through chapter 22. So chapters 4 and 5, they serve as the prologue. It's the deep breath before the plunge.
The deep breath before the plunge. I like that. So we just established that massive shift in the timeline. But how does our narrator actually cross that boundary?
Right. How does he get there? Yeah. Our guide for this vision is a man named John, and he's physically imprisoned on the island of Patmos. He's in exile, living in a brutal penal colony.
Not exactly a glamorous setting.
No, not at all. It's a very gritty reality. But suddenly that reality is interrupted. He hears a voice, and the text says it sounds like a piercing trumpet, a commanding voice of authority that's identified as Christ.
A very specific detail, that trumpet.
Yeah. And then John looks up and sees a door standing wide open in the sky, and he receives this direct invitation, come up here.
And the text is highly specific about where that open door actually leads. It says it admits John into the third heaven.
The third heaven. Which, implies there are at least two others.
Right. And to make sense of that, you have to understand ancient cosmology. For them, the first heaven is simply the Earth's atmosphere, the sky where the birds fly and the weather happens.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then the second heaven is the solar system, the realm of the stars, the moon, the planets.
Which means the third heaven is essentially stepping outside the bounds of the physical universe entirely.
Exactly. It is the literal dwelling place of God. It exists completely outside of space and time as we know it.
Wow.
So by bringing John into this third heaven, the text is giving him and you, the reader, an objective vantage point. He is looking down at the timeline of humanity from the outside, even though his physical body remains stuck in a dirt floor prison on Patmos.
It's like the ultimate dimensional clearance, like ultimate VIP backstage access.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
But I do have a question about the summons itself. If this is Christ speaking to him, why a trumpet? Why not just a booming voice? A trumpet feels so, jarring.
Well, that jarring nature is exactly the point. In the ancient world, a trumpet wasn't like a musical instrument used for a pleasant evening of entertainment.
Right.
It was a primary tool of military and royal communication. You used it to signal troops to march, to announce the arrival of a conquering king, or to sound a terrifying alarm.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so by describing the voice as a trumpet, it signals to John that this is not a gentle, passive dream state. It is a profound, authoritative summons. It's basically a draft notice from the highest authority.
A draft notice. That completely changes the tone. So John steps through that open door, he crosses the threshold into this third heaven, and his eyes are just immediately drawn to the center of the room.
Naturally.
Right, he looks at the throne, and the figure sitting there is, well, it's not described as a standard human with a white beard. God is described as having the radiant, brilliant form of a man made of diamond and ruby.
Yeah, and the text notes the appearance is like a jasper stone and a sardius stone.
Which we probably need to clarify, right?
We do, because modern naming conventions can totally lead us astray here. When the text says jasper, it is not referring to the sort of opaque, earthy stone that we call jasper today.
Okay.
Ancient jasper was a brilliant, translucent, diamond-like gem. And sardius, on the other hand, was a deep blood red stone, very similar to what we'd call a modern ruby.
Wait, so if jasper is first and sardius is second, are they actually like bookends? Because I know there's a deeper historical connection to these specific stones going all the way back to the book of Exodus.
Oh, there is a very profound connection. In ancient Israel, the high priest wore a special garment, a breastplate, whenever he entered the holy place to stand before God.
Right, the breastplate with all the gems.
Exactly. On this breastplate, worn directly over the priest's heart, was a grid of 12 different precious stones, and each stone represented one of the 12 tribes of Israel.
And let me guess, jasper and sardius are the anchors of that grid.
Precisely. Jasper was the very first stone, positioned at the top left of the breastplate, representing Reuben, the firstborn son of Jacob. Sardius was the final stone, down at the bottom right of the grid, representing Benjamin, the lastborn of the 12 sons.
So it's basically a visual way of saying from A to Z. Like, they hold the entire family of Israel together in between them.
That's exactly it.
But I have to push back a little here. We are in the control room of the universe, right? The text is setting up the countdown to the apocalypse. The earth is about to face unprecedented devastation. So in the middle of this terrifying apocalyptic prelude, why focus on jewelry?
What's fascinating here is that this isn't just an aesthetic description of shiny gems. It is a deeply reassuring legal symbol.
The legal symbol.
Yeah, think about the psychological state of a reader facing the end of the world. By displaying the specific stones of the first and last tribes, the vision is projecting that God's ancient covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob remains completely intact.
Oh, wow.
It covers the entire house of Israel, from the firstborn to the last. So it's a visual guarantee of protection right before the judgment begins. It basically tells the reader, even as the world falls apart, the contract holds.
Okay, that makes so much sense. So we just established this profound guarantee of covenant protection with those specific stones. But how does that promise hold up when you look at the rest of the room?
Right, because the rest of the room is wild.
It is. Because while the center is a picture of stability, the environment surrounding the throne is surprisingly volatile. John's eyes pan outward, and he sees a circle of 24 other thrones, seated with 24 elders. And I know a lot of people get tripped up here and just assume these are angels.
It is a really common misconception, but the text provides specific clues that rule out angelic beings.
Okay, like what?
It comes down to the original Greek word used for elders, which is presbyteroi. Throughout all scriptural texts, that word is never used to describe angels.
Never.
Never. It refers exclusively to wise older men or human rulers. Furthermore, the concept of an elder implies aging and maturity. And, well, angels do not age.
Right, of course. Plus, look at what these elders are wearing. They're clothed in white garments, symbolizing purity, and they have golden crowns on their heads. But the specific word for crown changes the entire meaning of their presence, doesn't it?
It does. The Greek word for crown here is stephanos. This is not a royal diadem passed down through a royal bloodline.
So it's not like a king's crown.
No. A stephanos is a victor's wreath. It's the prize awarded to a Greek athlete who has endured grueling training to win a race. Or maybe a soldier who has survived a brutal campaign. It is an award for overcoming something.
And angels don't fight against personal human sin to earn a victor's crown.
Exactly. Which means these 24 elders have to represent humanity.
Our sources point out they represent a redeemed, victorious group of humans, specifically the true church, occupying a place of profound honor. They fought the good fight, they overcame, and they've been removed from the earth prior to the hour of testing that is about to hit.
Yes, they are a picture of human victory. But the piece of that specific image is heavily contrasted by the changing weather in the room itself.
Right, the weather is incredibly hostile. It starts with a rainbow encircling the throne. But it's not a normal multicolored rainbow, it's a solid emerald green.
Right.
And then that universal symbol of peace starts to morph. It grows into a furious, flashing storm of thunder and lightning. And right in front of the throne, there are 7 burning lamps.
And those aren't exactly peaceful either.
No. Our source makes a brilliant distinction here. These are not the gentle, flickering indoor church candles meant to invite you into, like, a quiet time of prayer. These are blazing hot outdoor torches.
Yeah.
They're the kind of torches you use for a night march into battle. And they represent the perfect 7-fold spirit of God: wisdom, understanding, counsel, strength, knowledge, reverence, and deity.
And beneath all of this is what the text describes as a sea of glass, like crystal.
Yeah, what is that?
It is the actual pavement that the throne rests upon. It's a shining, glass-like surface that changes color and appearance to reflect the atmosphere above it.
Man, it makes me think of, like, standing on a frozen lake during a violent thunderstorm.
Oh, that's a good visual.
Yeah, like the ice beneath your feet is magnifying and reflecting every single flash of lightning from above, making you feel just entirely exposed to the elements, like there's nowhere to hide from the glare.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. We have a room that starts with an emerald rainbow, a symbol of peace and covenant. But within moments, it turns into a war room with outdoor torches, thunder, and lightning. It feels like a massive tonal shift. Why such a drastic change?
Because the scene is visually tracking a massive shift in how God interacts with humanity.
Oh, yeah.
The era of grace and second chances, which is represented by that peaceful emerald rainbow, is drawing to a close. The lightning, the thunder, the blazing war torches, these are universal ancient symbols of Mount Sinai, of coming judgment, and of righteous anger.
So the storm is brewing indoors.
Yes. The weather in the throne room is turning hostile because God is preparing to go to war against the evil embedded in the earth.
Wow. And speaking of things that are terrifying,
Oh.
as John looks even closer, inside that circle of 24 elders, right up against the throne, he sees the inner security detail.
Oh, yeah.
These are, without a doubt, the most visually startling entities in the entire text, the 4 living creatures.
Right. And in older texts, they're often translated as beasts, which gives the very wrong impression that they are, like, mindless animals.
Which they aren't.
No, they are cherubim. In the ancient angelic hierarchy, cherubim are extraordinarily powerful, high-ranking beings. Just to give you some context on their power level, the text notes that before his fall, Lucifer himself was a cherub tasked with defending the throne of God.
Wow. So they are the elite vanguard, and they are deeply associated with military strength. In fact, the source notes that these are the exact same entities who will trigger the horrific events of the apocalypse later on.
That's right.
Like, one of them calls forth the rider on the white horse. Another announces global economic disaster. Another physically hands out the bowls of doom to the angels. They are literally the executioners of the apocalypse.
And their physical description is designed to convey that inescapable authority. The text says they're covered in eyes in front and behind, and even within their wings.
I have to admit, I shudder slightly at that imagery.
It's unsettling.
Creatures entirely covered in eyes. It's like the ultimate inescapable surveillance system. Nothing gets past them. But they also have 4 distinct faces: a lion, a calf or young ox, a man, and a flying eagle.
Right.
I know they represent the pinnacle of their species, but how do those specific faces translate to the character of God?
Well, each face is a visual mechanism explaining a different attribute. The lion is pretty straightforward. It represents majestic, conquering strength.
Okay, makes sense.
And the man represents pure, calculating intellect and reason. But the ox and the eagle are particularly interesting.
How so?
In the ancient agrarian world, the ox wasn't just a farm animal. It was the ultimate engine of survival. It represented the slow, grueling, unstoppable endurance required to keep humanity alive. So by wearing the face of an ox, it shows God possesses unstoppable, enduring patience.
Oh, I love that. And the eagle.
The flying eagle represents supreme vision and sovereignty. An eagle flies above the storm, seeing the entire landscape from an overarching, sovereign perspective.
Wait, if God is omnipotent, if he's the strongest being in existence, why does he need a military vanguard? Why does he need a security detail of cherubim at all?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really reframes how we view these beings. These cherubim are not there because God is vulnerable or needs physical protection from a threat.
Right.
They are the literal manifestations of those different attributes. They are the vehicles through which his strength, his enduring labor, his intellect, and his sovereign vision act out his will in the physical and spiritual realms.
So they don't protect him from harm.
No, they project his nature outward into the universe.
They are his character brought to life.
That's incredible.
Huh.
So up to this point, this entire scene has been intensely visual, but almost like a static painting holding its breath.
Yes, very visual, very still.
You have the diamond and ruby figure, the elders on their thrones, the frozen glass sea reflecting the lightning, the eye-covered cherubim. But then the climax of the chapter hits, and the static tableau suddenly bursts into continuous, deafening action and sound. And it is initiated by those four living creatures. The text says that day and night, without ceasing, they chant, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God, the Almighty, who was and who is to come."
Every single word of that chant carries massive theological weight.
It really does.
Let's break that down, because it isn't just repetitive noise, is it?
No, it is highly precise. When they chant holy, they are acknowledging God's total separation from evil. It means absolute moral perfection.
Right.
When they say Almighty, they are identifying him as the strongest, unconquerable force of the universe. And when they say who was and who is to come, they're capturing the sheer weight of eternity, of being completely unbound by time.
And this chant acts like a catalyst. It triggers a massive chain reaction. When the four living creatures give this glory and honor, the 24 elders, the representatives of victorious humanity, instantly react.
Yes.
They fall down out of their thrones, and they physically take those gold victor's crowns off their heads and cast them onto the glass floor at the base of the main throne. So what does this all mean?
It's a huge moment.
It really is. I mean, think about how hard we work today for our achievements, our careers, our degrees, our legacy. We fight our whole lives to build something we can be proud of.
Right.
These elders fought their whole earthly lives to overcome and earn those specific Stephanos crowns. It is the ultimate achievement. Why take the highest award you can possibly earn and immediately toss it on the floor?
Because true knowledge and true proximity to absolute perfection naturally results in the surrender of personal ego.
Surrender of ego.
Think about it. When you are standing in the direct presence of a being who is entirely separated from evil, the being who is the literal source of all strength and all time, your own achievements suddenly pale in comparison.
They kind of lose their shine.
Exactly. The crowns represent their life's work, yes. But in that room, illuminated by the blazing torches of truth, it becomes instantly clear that all human achievement is only possible because of the Creator. So throwing the crowns isn't an act of despair, it is an act of passionate, humble agreement with the cherubim.
It's the realization that you didn't win the race on your own. You won because he gave you the breath to run.
Beautifully said.
It goes against every instinct of human pride, and it is just an incredible image. And, well, it brings us to the end of our journey today. I want you to take a second and think about the incredible distance we just covered in this deep dive.
It's a lot of ground.
We started with an imprisoned man hearing a military trumpet and stepping through an open door in the sky. We walked past a figure shining like a diamond and a ruby, standing as a legal guarantee of an ancient promise. We moved through a room where the floor reflects a violent thunderstorm of coming judgment. We stared into the unblinking eyes of the cherubim, and we listened to the deafening roar of humanity throwing its life's work at the feet of the Almighty.
And it serves as a powerful reminder that texts like this are never just random assortments of bizarre imagery. Every single gemstone, every shift in the weather, every animal face on those cherubim is a meticulously placed symbol. They're all meant to convey profound truths about authority, history, and the certainty of judgment.
It isn't a fever dream, it is a blueprint.
This raises an important question, though, about how we process this kind of knowledge. Knowledge is most valuable when we can look at multiple perspectives simultaneously.
Okay, how so?
In this single room, we are forced to hold two contrasting ideas at the exact same time. We see the terrifying military power of a creator preparing for war, and simultaneously, we see the deep, reassuring, covenant-keeping love of a creator protecting his people.
Wow. Which leaves us with one final, deeply provocative thought for you to mull over as you go about your day. We established at the very beginning that Chapter 4 is just the prologue. This breathtaking scene is just the prelude to the apocalypse.
Okay, the storm hasn't even hit yet.
Exactly. The magnificent eye-covered cherubim that we just saw singing beautiful praises of holiness, those are the exact same entities who, just a few chapters later, are going to hand out the bowls of doom and summon the horsemen to devastate the earth.
It's crazy to think about.
It is. I want you to try and imagine the sheer psychological weight that must have been sitting on John's shoulders in that moment. He is witnessing this incredibly beautiful yet terrifying calm before the storm, while knowing exactly what these magnificent beings were about to unleash on humanity. The dense wall of psychedelic imagery isn't just a bizarre trip. It's a highly engineered, terrifyingly beautiful blueprint for what comes next. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and we will catch you next time.
9.